Welcome to Lashings World and another edition of this series that we're doing checking in with. We're delighted today to have again an incredibly special cricketing legend, a man who played 132 tests, 205 one-day internationals. He took a mammoth 519 test wickets at an average of 24.44, a Wisden Cricketer of the Year in 1987, an ICC Hall of Famer, and the first bowler ever in the history of cricket to take 500 Test wickets. It's my absolute pleasure to welcome the man, the legend that is Courtney Walsh. Hi there, Courtney. How are you, sir? How's lockdown been for you in 2020?
It's been pretty good. Challenging from time to time, but you got to make the most of it. So the first part of it was very, very testing, especially when we got back from Australia with the women's team, and then we were in a lockdown. So the first set of lockdown was very, very testing and very challenging. But we make do, and we give thanks for that. So it's been going pretty okay now with the restrictions. We follow the protocols, and everything has been working out pretty good. So I can't complain. I can't complain, to be quite honest. But the first part was very challenging.
I'm looking forward to catching up with what you're doing now with the West Indies women's cricket team a little bit later on. But I'd just like to ask you first of all a few questions about your career. And I understand you started playing cricket at a young age in Jamaica, and you would have grown up with that great fast bowling sort of four-pronged fast bowling attack in the late 70s. Garner, Holding, Croft and Roberts. Were they particularly idols for you at a young age?
Yeah, I was fortunate enough to start very, very young. I started competitive cricket at 13. The good thing with me was Michael Loden and I played for the same club, so I used to look at him play when I was a youngster. So to be able to play Test cricket with him was like a dream come true, and something that I hold personally, that I'm very, very happy for both Mikey, myself, and the club that sort of got us into that frame. Robert Samuels and Marlon Samuels played for the same club, along with a host of other cricketers that has played for the West Indies. But it was good for me to get in and be amongst, as you mentioned, the likes of Malcolm Marshall, Joel Garner, Colin Croft, Andy Roberts, when he was coming towards the back end of his career. It was good to be able to be playing with these guys and learning from them. So to me, that was a tremendous start, and I think it sort of leapfrog my career because I gained the experience from just playing local cricket with them and then touring with them. And I think that's how I set up my career pretty nice, where I had some good mentors, and then I tried to learn as I played.
Excellent. And you made your international debut in late in 1984. So I think that would have been sort of just after the summer series here in England, where the West Indies thrashed England once again. So it was such a great side to go into. But did some of those fast bowlers, I think Joel Garner and Malcolm Marshall would have been taking the new ball at the time. Did some of those fast bowlers around you take you to one side and sort of teach you things and mentor you?
Yeah, certainly. I mean, when I went to England, it was a learning process for me. I didn't play one test match. We won the test series 5-0. I was very surprised when I got to Australia. I started the first test, but all through the England tour, I saw myself as a youngster learning the trade. And when you're on a tour with Michael Olin, Joel Garner, Malcolm Marshall, obviously you're going to learn with Eldin Baptiste, myself, and another youngster called Milton Small. So we were the six fast bowlers, and I was the only one who hadn't played in the test. So I know I was a rookie on the tour, and I was just eager to learn and to pick up any bits and pieces. And as I keep telling people, England was the place to learn cricket. So I was very fortunate and lucky to be in England at that time, learning the trade in different conditions. So I learned a lot there. And then Australia is a good place to come play cricket after. And back in those days, the pitches were good, conducive to fast bowling. So you learn the trade in England and then you try to exploit it in Australia. So it was a good start for me, and I made my debut, as you say, late in Australia, and I was very thankful for that, and I ended up playing for as long as I did as a fast bowler. I was very, very happy to be able to do so and still be able to walk around.
Absolutely. Well, you played such a long career, I think 16 odd years as an international cricketer. But I'd like to ask you just a few questions about your career. And I think this is right. Am I correct in saying you took over 50% of your Test wickets away from the West Indies, playing away from home. You certainly took a great percentage of wickets around the other nations. Why do you think that was the case?
I think my dedication to hard work. I didn't matter where I played. I just wanted to play. So whether it was playing at home or away from home, I wanted to play, wanted to perform. I really like playing both forms of the game.
And of all the test series and all of those test matches that you played, 132 test matches, which series or which matches do you look back on with the most fondness?
Well, the one test match against Australia when we won by a 1 run was something that you'll never forget as a player, and especially when you're
Mm,
involved in it. So that was a tremendous test match, and then it was a series where Curtly Ambrose bowled a spell where you got 7 for 1 in the test match following that. So that
sure.
test series was special because we came back from losing 1-0 to win that series 2-1. So obviously, and then my last test series in England where I got a couple of wickets. We lost that series as well, but on a personal note, I did pretty well. So those two test series is something that spring readily to mind. And obviously, when you play against India or Pakistan, in India or Pakistan, those are always challenging test series. But for me, the best test series I had was as a captain was against New Zealand in New Zealand, where I got my best bowling analysis in that test series. So that's one that really stands out quite a lot.
You mentioned there Courtney Ambrose, Sir Courtney Ambrose, and we were fortunate to chat with him last week. But from your perspective, where did you first sort of come across Courtney, both as a young man and as a cricketer?
I remember Viv introduced him to us when we were touring England, saying that as a youngster who was going to play for the West Indies. He was playing league cricket in England at the time. And we saw this tall streak of misery walking around the field. He was introduced to us by Viv, and we weren't close at that time. I just met him, said hello, and that was it. And then I played
Right.
against him in the regional tournament the following season. I won the tournament in the finals in Antigua with Sir Viv, Sir Richie, Sir Curtly, all played. And I think Jamaica won the finals. And we sort of started speaking from them, but we got close when we played in the series in England, and then we became roommates in Pakistan. And I think that hit it off when we complemented each other. We were vying for a spot on a test match in Barbados. And both of us just wish each other good luck because whichever one of us got the nod, we wanted to do well. And I think that is what cemented our friendship. We were never rivals as far as we were concerned. And we complemented each other and we were like brothers.
Yeah, I mean, we Curtly said exactly the same. He said your relationship and your success worked because it was a partnership as opposed to a rivalry. Did you sort of work strategically before matches, before series, in terms of making that partnership work, or was it something that flowed naturally?
Now, we had discussions before. We didn't go into a lot of details, but we had discussions before as to the batsmen, some of their strengths, the weaknesses, what we can do, try to assess the wicket early. Had many plans, but obviously the conditions that you're playing under, you try to ensure that whatever you're doing under those conditions, you make the best of it.
You must have been asked about this so many times, but I do need to touch on it. Your 500th Test wicket. You were the first bowler to take 500 wickets in Test matches against South Africa, I believe in Trinidad. Just what did that moment mean to you?
Well, to be the first in anything is going to be something out of the normal. I was very happy and pleased to be the first bowler for 500 Test wickets. I remember when I was playing, I said if I get to 2 or 300 Test wickets, I'll be very happy. So to be the first person to get to 500, I was extremely happy. To raise the bar that high, and something that you. But every time you look back at it or you think about it, you get that good feeling. I was just happy for my teammates who supported me right throughout, and for the fans and everybody who was very happy for me. And I remember when I was playing my last test, my mom wanted me to end with 520, and I felt one shot. So, she wasn't
Oh,
very
okay.
happy, but she was happy that I still, were able to play for as long as I did. But I think she wanted a round number, but I was very happy to just finish my career at the way we did. Getting most wickets in the last series I played in was something very pleasing as well. So it means I didn't sort of hang around or overstayed my welcome. So I was very happy for that. But yeah, to be the first to 500 was something that I was very, very happy to be a part of.
What's the secret? You played at the top level of the game for 16 plus years as a fast bowler, and we've seen it these days in England with Anderson and Broad sort of doing the same. But what's the secret to have that much longevity and to keep your body going? We all know how difficult that must be as a fast bowler as well.
I think you have to be disciplined in what you're doing. You got to be focused and look after your body, but also listen to your body. So what I used to do is try to be match fit for the matches, but preparation beforehand as well. So I didn't overdo it. Once you get to match fit, it was just maintenance then. So I tried to focus on doing that, and because I played a lot of cricket, I didn't do a lot of gym work or physical stuff if I didn't have to. Whatever I did beforehand, then once I started playing, it was more maintenance.
Okay, I just want to ask you about Lashings. How did you to get involved with Lashings World 11?
Well, Richie got me involved from after I retired. He wanted me to come and play, so he was always in my corner and nagging me about playing. I didn't because when I stopped retired, I didn't play any game at all. And then I was in England one summer, and he said, come and play a couple of games for us." And Richie and David got me involved. I actually was part of the Lashings 11 for a number of games. I spent a couple of months in England, and I quite enjoyed it. And I liked what was happening at Lashings. I liked what Lashings was doing. And I met a fellow by the name of Scotty, and for some strange reason, we became friends. And we would travel together or meet up at the same place. We'd make arrangements so we could have a pint and just catch up with what was happening. And I just like what Lashings was doing and the way they were playing the games and the outreach that they had for communities where people would normally never get a chance to rub shoulders with the stars of the game, and it was something I look forward to and enjoy doing.
You mentioned there about Richie, and just going back a step, one question I did want to ask you, and that's around captaincy. So you had the honour of captaining West Indies, but also earlier in your career, you mainly played for two great West Indies captains, Sir Viv Richards and Sir Richie Richardson. How did they? What were the differences in their styles of captaincy, and how did they get the best out of you?
I think Richie was a lot more relaxed in his approach, and he was after Viv, so he learned a lot from Viv as well and stuff. But Richie was a lot more relaxed and, would discuss and have a chat with how he wants things to be done and give you a thing. Viv was more determined not to lose, so there was two different characters. Viv wanted to win everything, and so I think both brought the best out of him because with Viv, you know where you stand, you don't want to lose, and he's giving you 100% support. Once he knows you're giving him 100%, then there's no issues. And it's a two different character in terms of their mannerism, but they both wanted the same ultimate stuff, the good for West Indies cricket and to win Test match and Test series.
I just like to touch on what you're doing now. I mean, in recent years, you've had some great and varied experiences in coaching, and recently, and many congratulations, you have been announced as the head coach of the West Indies women's cricket team. What are your short term and long term plans to drive forward with West Indies cricket for the women?
Well, a lot of people probably might be surprised when I sort of applied for the job and got it and stuff. But short term, we have to be looking to qualify for the World Cup in 2022. So we have the qualifiers in next year if everything goes well, COVID and the protocol in 2021. So that's something that we're working on. And long term to get into the World Cup and stuff, but also to develop the cricket right around the region to give the ladies something to play for, to encourage them and to ensure that it can't be business as usual. We've got to try to get up the rankings and stuff like that. So there's a lot of work to be done. I'm eager to get going. The COVID hasn't given us a chance to hold any camps or do anything properly as yet, but I'm looking forward to our first camp, hopefully early next year. And as I say, just to try to encourage more females to come out to play, but also work with what we have and try to get back to winning ways. We have won the World Cup in 2016, and we want to try to be in a position to challenge for it again. So those are some of the long and short term plans that I have, and to just develop the sports in the region and to get more ladies playing and to try to compete a lot more than we're doing.
With women's cricket across the world pre-COVID, do you think that women's cricket was in a pretty good and encouraging place? And how do we sort of move forward with that across the world with women's cricket after this sort of pandemic dies down?
Well, I'm hoping that after the pandemic dies down, we can get back. But unfortunate for women's cricket, the World Cup in Australia to me was like a pinnacle where everybody was now looking at the sport. It was a big buzz. They had the most
Mm.
attendance in any one stadium. Everything was just
Yeah.
going in the right direction. And then the pandemic came. So we're hoping to rebuild on that. The ladies went to England recently for a tour just after the men. And there's plans to try to get other tours in place before the qualifiers and then before the World Cup. But it would be good if we can get a smooth sailing. And I mean, the pandemic has affected everything, but we still have to have hope. And I'm hoping that we can get back to where it was. There was a buzz being picked up, and we'll just try to get that buzz going again and regenerate the interest and the way the ladies play and try to encourage the sports to get back to where we all want it to be. I mean, at the end of the day, whether it's men's cricket or women's cricket, we want to see good, high
Yes.
quality cricket. And I know if everything goes well, then Lashings might have a lady or two playing for them in the next Asian game.
Do you know what? I was literally going to ask you that. I was going to take the opportunity while I had you here and now to say, look, Courtney, if you have one or two ladies that you'd like to come over or will be here anyway, like to play for us. I know Stephanie Taylor played for Lashings, I think 3 or 4 years ago. And it's fantastic having her with us. And obviously, yourself having you back with us last year was fantastic. And just touching on the Lashings thing again, it, a lot of the players, the ex-players, say to us it's really good and important for them to be able to come together in the changing room because an international cricketer's changing room is probably different to any other changing room, and you must take a lot from that as well when you're with Lashings.
Yeah, I mean, obviously we as cricketers want to play and support and do the best we can. And if the opportunity comes that we can get Steffi or Deandra or Haley, any of the ladies to, come and get a couple of games, they'll gain from that experience. But I think we as former players as well, we like the message that Lashings was sending and we're happy to be a part of it. And not only that, but we probably, because you had so many mixed players, when we played against each other, we didn't get a chance to know a lot about each other. So I think that's one of the things that has all Lashings together in high esteem, where all the former players who play for different territories, different countries, you're now in one dressing room and you can sit down and reminisce, talk about a series, talk about players you've seen, talk about upcoming players, and talk about players of the past. It's always a good story. So it's something that we all look forward to.
I do have one final question. That's about your career. You managed to get onto the honours board at Lords, which I know is an ambition of yours. How satisfying was that to do before you actually hung up your boots?
It was very, very satisfying. And I remember saying to Courtney when we were playing our last test match there, we look up at the board and I said, none of us are on the board, so one of us has to get on this board before we finish. I was happy I pipped him to the post, but I mean, it was just good to be there. And when you go back to that dressing room and you look up and you see your name on the board, it's a very, very good feeling. Lords is a special
Well,
place to play cricket.
excellent. Well, Courtney, thank you ever so much for joining us. It's been lovely chatting with you, and we hope we get a chance to see you in the summer, and indeed one or two of your West Indies ladies players as well. It'd be fantastic. You're all very, very welcome at any time indeed.
The pleasure is mine. It's a pleasure to speak to you as well. I'm really looking forward to catching up. I'm hoping, as we had made plans to be there last year, or this year, I should say, but I'm hoping that in the not too distant future, I can be representing Lashings again, playing a couple of games. Having a bit of fun catching up with a few former players and Scotty, and just seeing you guys again because I think you're doing a fantastic job, and it's happy to be a part of it.
We can't wait. Thank you very much, Courtney.